Okay, we're back.
I am new.
That is a fire intro right there.
I am new.
That was
nice with
delay. But yo, hit me with a dub siren. Yeah. All right, we didn't get Kare's camera set up, but he's here. Anyway, what's up, guys? Welcome to Poducer, the podcast for producers. Today we're joined by Artie Do Good.
What's up? How you doing, Jerry?
Chilling, dude. Thanks for patiently waiting so we can get all that set up. Also, we got Care here. What's up?
Yeah, Jerry didn't set up my camera, so I'm just in the shadows. It's okay. He just wants to hide me. He don't want me to take away the shine from Artie.
Wait, you
I
could
feel it. I'm sexy. I'm sexy too.
He's sexy.
We'll get it set up for next time. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Let's do the thing. What do you do, dude? You do a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, totally.
You're a teacher.
I'm a teacher. We're talking a lot about teaching. So we just kind of first day of summer break, which we talking about celebratory. Whoop whoop.
Congrats.
And outside of that, I'm a trombonist. I guess I'm just multi-instrumentalist, but trombone's like the main thing. And then make a bunch of different music, compose and produce and do a lot of that kind of shit, I guess. So yeah. And outside of that, I like to go on long walks throughout Chicago. I like to take, like a nice little bike ride. I biked over here, actually. That was nice. So it's really a whole spread of things, if I'm being honest, that I like to participate in. So hopefully we can talk more about it.
We'll talk more about it. But he's cool as fuck, right? Like, he's got swag on a level.
He biked here and he still smells good. That's important.
Yeah, we were talking about moisturizing.
Moisturizing, yes. Jojoba. I was trying to put Jerry onto jojoba cream. So shout out jojoba cream if anyone knows. There's a specific brand, Dr. something. Not Scholl's.
Bronner's?
Maybe Bronner's, actually.
I use some Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. Anyway, I get kind of crunchy. I'll go to Whole Foods and actually... I'll just buy it on Amazon.
Bro, that's what I was saying.
That's kind of Whole Foods.
I'd be hitting the straight up, the shout out Mer's Apothecary. I'd be hitting the apothecaries, bro.
That place is fire.
That's great, man. I'd be hitting the apothecary for the jojoba creams. They got it set up for me there.
I love the hopes.
Wait, okay, so can you break it down? Because like I've been telling myself I was talking to my dad about this. I was like, what do you moisturize with? And he was like, just shea butter on the face. I was like, okay.
That's insane.
That's honestly kind of the perfect thing too.
I guess it depends on your skin type, right?
Yeah.
Shea butter might be a little intense for some.
Not for us.
Not for you. I might have that, like, I was going to say light skin, but that was the wrong term.
That was insane.
Like skin that's not thick. What's a better thin skin, but not emotionally thin skin? God damn it.
It's all good.
Jesus Christ.
Run it back. Run the intro. No, I'm just kidding. Don't run the intro.
And we are canceling Jerry.
Perfect. Yeah, moisturizing. Do I need to do it? I'm 30. I think.
Get on that, bro. You look great, honestly.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, you should get on it. Yeah, it's good. Sunscreen every day. You gotta be doing that. That's like the two combos, honestly.
Fuck, I'm not doing that. I got to do
important.
more.
It's important.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, melanoma's real, bro.
I get real crunchy about this shit. I'm like, but the sunscreen's got bad chemicals.
You can get natural sunscreen.
There's
literally an ad across the street right now for a certain brand of sunscreen.
Yeah, it was like bad sunscreen versus good.
It really be making you look very pasty, but it works.
No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I know this might not be interesting to some people, but zinc oxide sunscreen does make you look pasty.
You not wrote that shit. You're like,
do you have Carrie? You got a skin routine?
Yeah. What do I use? I wash my face with like exfoliant, like every other day. Warm water. Get out. Instantly put like my what is it called? Like I got like these new pads that I like wipe my face down with. They're amazing. Make my skin popping. Forgot what they're called too. And then I put a nice moisturizer over the top. And then I just be fucking glowing.
Nice.
Glowing.
Damn.
Dewy skin.
I just dewy. Oh my God. I was like, wow.
I love dewy.
I got on FaceTime earlier. Somebody was like, God damn. I was like, what? Like your skin. I was like, what about it?
Nice.
All the girls be hating, but some of us just born with it.
That's true.
I can't brag too much. Knock on wood.
We got to get your camera set up. Fuck.
That's okay.
That's okay. All right.
I'm good being behind the scenes. They just need that voice that's like telling jokes.
Yeah. Just listen to Care and imagine what his dewy skin looks like.
What the hell?
What the hell? All right.
Hey, yo.
All right. So Well, we always ask what your first concert was. So let's just go into a fun little icebreaker question.
Yeah, totally.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I have like two that I can definitely. So like my first one, honestly, like where I grew up, which was Kenosha, Wisconsin, just like a little bit north of here. At the time I was growing up, there was like a big DIY scene, and my nephew, who's like 5 years older than me, he was a big part of that. And so he was like, I think I was probably like 9 or 10, and he'd be throwing like punk shows at like churches or VAs and things like that, you know, or VFW, sorry. And so I would go to those. That was probably my first chip, honestly, was going to like punk shows and those kind of spaces. But honestly, the real big one the first big one I went to, I play trombone, so you better believe that I was like checking out ska. So I was, it was Real Big Fish. Real Big Fish, I think it was Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish, Lucky Boys, Confusion, and RX Bandits.
Is Real Big Fish not Fish? We're not talking about Fish.
No, it's so totally separate band. Like, I guess people call it like third or fourth wave ska music, you know, like real kind of corny shit, to be honest. It's like, now I go back and listen to it and I'm like, they're definitely talented, like super good musicians and all that, but the music itself is like, I'm like a little, I'm not embarrassed because, you know, there's no reason to be embarrassed or anything about that.
I love that. It's like, dun, 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 dun. You're like, you feel like you're playing Tony Hawk.
Yes, there's definitely
like, this is sick.
Some of that energy for sure. I definitely was in the, like the mosh pits as a little kid, just like skanking and doing that whole thing, you know, like the classic, like doing the two-step and all.
Wait, is that a ska thing, the two-step?
Not the two-step, but skanking and two-step is just what I knew how to do at that age, you know. That was just trying to, my early, just understand how to move my hips and all that quite wasn't there yet. So the two-step kept it locked in the whole time, yeah.
And this is going to sound uneducated, but skanking?
Yeah, that's just like, I can't demonstrate it because we're sitting down. If only I was like my feet, so you'd be like kind of doing one of these. It's almost
I love this.
Yeah, continue to do that, please.
This is like one of these joints, kind of, but you're like crossing the legs and kicking your feet at the same time, kind of like that, and maybe like moving your arms. So that was a whole thing. So you see people like would like go in the pit and they kind of be like skanking around the whole like circle. You know that like what's that trend that people be doing where like they look like they're gliding? Like,
dude, that shit's and they like hop and like
it's like a way clumsier version of that. Like, it doesn't look fresh at all like that, but it's fun. It was a good time, you know. Like, you need to be kind of knocking into people because there's a lot of like punk rock energy and stuff. So a lot of those bands definitely had like either just went straight punk rock after that or like had roots in like punk music. So that's kind of where the connection, other than just like the reggae stuff, that kind of blends in those two worlds for sure. So those are like my first big ones, and then, you know, there's a bunch after that, but I would say that's my first big memorable one. Was
so you were like in alternative scenes quick, like like ska is kind of alty, you know, whatever. It big in Kenosha?
I think it was just big low key in like the 90s, honestly.
Yeah,
like, so
that's so true.
And so like I was just because I played a brass instrument, like I was searching, like I got into brass band music because obviously, and then I got into ska music because that was also another place that they had horns. So I was just like, that was really inspiring to me. Other than like jazz, I was already listening to jazz too. But I would say like those were the first big ones that I just got into, and that show in general was sick. Especially like I was kind of a big fan. Now I'm still a big fan of this band RX Bandits. They're probably more like connected to like full on like dub music and like reggae stuff. Sick. And they're sick. Like I still think they're really dope. I will bump them any day. But yeah.
Dub Siren. Hey.
So those dudes rule. Shout out RX Bandits. But Real Big Fish was definitely like the biggest band, I think, kind of that era. There's like a handful, like Streetlight Manifesto is another big band that's more just like straight up punk rock but with horns. And then I'm trying to think, like Less Than Jake was huge, also more punk rock. I'm trying to think, was any like breakthrough artists. There was a like, anyways, don't matter. I was like, Come On Eileen. There's that, remember that song, Come On Eileen?
Yeah.
I was like, and then it had the horn solo and all that. I guess Sublime had like, you know, like also same thing. They had horn players, and they would be kind of falling under the ska category. But yeah, that was like, I was just looking for people to be inspired by, and that was the place to do it because they had trombone players, and that was what I was doing at that time, you know. So
that's sick, dude. Let's go down memory lane slightly and go into like, you know, how did you start? You know, when did you pick up the trombone, and like where does it go?
Yeah. So trombone, honestly, like talking about like teaching music now and everything. Like it used to be back in the day, and they still do this. Like I've done this personally. Basically, I don't know if y'all did that. Did either you play instruments?
Dude, actually, you'll probably get a kick out of this because we were talking about how he teaches music.
Mm-hmm.
When I tried out for like music, I was like, maybe we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And they brought me into a room, and I was like, yeah, I wanted to try the sax out, and they're like, oh, well, here you go.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck do I do with it? You know what I mean? And they literally was like, yeah, just give it a shot. And I was like, what? And I just like blew into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it made like a screech.
Okay.
And then they were like, okay, cool. And then I was just like, I can't do that.
Word.
They didn't give me any direction
guidance or anything. Damn.
I just felt like an idiot. But
Yeah.
that totally tanked any music that I learned in school.
Damn, that's crazy. What about
Right?
Kara? Did you play any instruments?
Mm-mm.
No, Ben. All right, word.
No, I didn't play any instruments. I wish I did though.
Yeah. So like similar to what you were talking about, like that's low key. That's what they did. They same kind of thing. They basically just like had like an instrument, like meet the instrument tryout kind of thing, you know. So you just go in and then just like they're like, all right, try the saxophone. And then
Okay, so that wasn't.
no, that's really what
that
they
is
did.
what they do.
Yeah. Now like when I do that shit, like it's definitely a little more guided. We're just like, okay, try to do this. Like this is how you like shape like what we call the embouchure, right? All that kind of stuff.
Learned that
And,
the other day.
Yeah, you do those things, and then if you can make a sound, then it means that you're probably more inclined to like be good at that instrument, or you're like you have some natural ability for it essentially. Where there's some instruments that maybe you can't make a single sound on at all, and that just means like probably avoid that instrument then, because it just like for your anatomy and like that instrument are not meshing. So that basically is what happened to me. I also wanted to play saxophone really bad. That was like the first one, and I just couldn't. Same thing. I like made a big old squeak, like honk and stuff. Couldn't make like any good sound on it at all.
This makes me feel so much better. I was like, they traumatized me.
No,
But
we got
that's
you,
what
bro.
they do.
We get you playing saxophone someday soon here now.
Check it out.
But then I picked up the trombone, and that was kind of it. Like I just started playing, and the guy who handed me the trombone, who was my middle school, well, I guess it was like 5th grade, but he became my middle school band director, and then he also like his son was my same age. And so like I became really close to that whole family. And then like when he moved to the high school, like as the band director, and then I went to that same high school, and I was also like really close with the son. And so he kind of became like honestly like a pseudo father figure for me. And that was just like, I don't know, super important at the time. My dad died when I was super young. So like I didn't really have like a father figure in the house. I did honestly, I had a bunch of different father figures in the house, to be real, honestly. But he was like the music one. He was music papa. Like
Music. But he was like a good influence.
yeah, he was fantastic, dude. He was like, I mean, still like to this day, he'd be really into photography. He's got his own Instagram. Like I went to his anyways, I like saw him fairly well, that was now a few years
Shout
ago.
out. Let's get a dub siren.
Yeah. But yeah, he's super inspired. He was like one of the first people also that was like, he's like, have you heard of this book, The Artist's Way? And I was
I found, those little libraries. I'll check those out. I'll be like looking. I gotta put books back in though. I just take them. I know it says to put one, but I found The Artist's Way in it the other day. I was like, hell yeah, that's a good book,
dude. That's a good find too, because they kind of are hard to come by, honestly. Especially now with like, I feel like the Dochi thing just like made that become like way more popular.
Oh, did she like shout that out?
Yeah, she was basically like, this is kind of like, you can go look at all of her Artist's Way things on YouTube. She did it all like live. This is like before she like popped off, but
What?
That's actually kind of cool.
I gotta do the same thing.
it's pretty sick. But yeah, so that was kind of like the journey. High school, just got super into music. I was just doing music stuff all the time. I was also like, I got a shout out my nephew again, like, right, he's like kind of my big brother, like, and he's been playing music his whole life too, but more like, again, like DIY punk rock. He also does produce now and makes like crazy electronic music. But he was like really the person that kind of put me on game to a lot of stuff, because he was like I said, he was like setting up shows and shit when he was like 13 years old, right? Like, damn. And it was just like stuff that you could.
I was like picking my nose.
I know, I feel you. Like I'm just like still like I'm kind of in awe about it, because I'm just like, damn, this dude was like, he like made his own little recording studio. He was like setting up shows like with all these other like punk bands that are like older than him and all that stuff, and like even getting like some touring acts to come through and just doing crazy stuff, especially at that age. Like in Kenosha had like, because there was that energy behind it, there's a lot of like really cool bands in Kenosha. Like my high school band was another ska band called Our Own Syndrome, and like the last show we played before all of us basically went to college, there was like 350 people there. It was just like, it just had the culture of like the DIY scene and everything was just like big enough, and there was like there, you know, it was pre-internet in a lot of ways. Like there wasn't like everyone just wanted to be at the shows. That's where you would go to meet up with people. It was like, oh yeah, look, let's pop out to the show. Like this is what we're trying to do tonight. And there's like some cool electronic acts. That, like there's this dude Breathe Electric that came through who like anyway did some cool stuff too. It was kind of like
it's a cool name.
Yeah, he was on like the kind of like postal service kind of tip.
Hell yeah.
But anyways, so that was like that. I like got exposed to jazz music through my teacher pretty heavily, and eventually he took me up to where I went to college eventually, called this place called Lawrence University. And I saw this trombone player, his name is Wyclef Gordon. And Wyclef Gordon is like the nastiest trombone motherfucker ever. He's like a gospel trombone player. He'd just be ripping like crazy. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe him, bro. He's insane. But anyway, so that was like the big influence there. Zoom past all that shit. I knew I wanted to go to New York. I moved to New York, kept on in like the jazz world, led like my first thing I ever did was like I composed for this like 10-piece ensemble. So I had like a 10-piece band out that was like flute, oboe, bass clarinet, saxophone, 2 keyboards, bass, drums, and trombone and trumpet. And that was like the first thing I did.
Wait, let's just double click on that for a second. That's sick.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's like, we would be like in the DAW, like I got a flute VST. You had real people.
Yeah. So that was like my whole thing is I got super heavy into composition, which kind of started while I was at Lawrence. My teacher out there was this guy named Fred Sturm, who, rest in peace, also another like father figure. But he got me into composition while I was there. And then I just kind of continued it when I moved out to New York, and did all that, and eventually just like became super poor, like really broke. Like, you know, I just like kind of ran out of money. I was working and everything, but it just like New York's expensive, and I just like wasn't really making ends meet, and trying to get musicians to play. Like for a while they're all cool doing it for free, but then I just felt guilty, like trying to be like, oh yeah, like let's do this show for free, that, you know, blah blah blah. A lot of them
feel
like
the same way.
Yeah, and so it's like and so a lot of people are still, and yeah, as you know, like people are down, right? So, but I don't know, it was just hard. And so I had other friends who were doing rap shit and all that. So I was really good friends with them. And one of my friends at the time had kind of popped off, and so he was touring a lot, and so he would come out to New York, and eventually we decided to do like a show together where I took all the music from his album for like a live band, and we did that. And then we just, that whole like kind of week that he was there for that thing, it kind of eventually was like, okay, you should come back to the Midwest and we should like try to build on this stuff, and also you should be making like beats, like you're influenced by all this shit, like you listen to rap and you like are into electronic music, like you should just like get Ableton and like figure that stuff out. So that was like my like first like delve into it, and then that's kind of been what I've been doing now. I feel like now I'm kind of like finally transitioning back into like live instrumentation stuff with electronic stuff. I'm trying to figure that out, but that was like the start of it, was like live stuff, and then it became electronic, and now I'm like trying to figure out how to blend those two worlds.
Well, honestly, I feel like the live stuff's way harder to get into because it like you need humans. Yeah,
and I mean, it's honestly for me, because I've done it for longer, like I think it's easier because I love it, and also because I feel like I'm lucky that I know a lot of really dope musicians. So I'll literally just be writing shit, and then I'm just like, all right, play that. And then it's like the most beautiful thing you've ever heard. And I'm like, tight, that's great. Yeah.
Great. Yeah,
we're done. Yeah. Like, so it's just like that part of it is like, once you get to that and you understand, I guess, music theory and those kinds of things, and you understand like this, it's like a little hidden language, right? Like, it's just like, if you learn that, just similar like producing is, right? There's so much shit that like those dudes have no idea. Like, what is corpus? What is chorus? What is
we were geeking over like corpus the other day.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. But like these different tools in Ableton or whatever it is, like people have no idea what that is, you know, unless you start investing time into that world. But then
I do feel like musicians who know theory and everything, they always have a leg up though. Like there is the technical engineering side of stuff, but if you can get into, like, if you can get through the door and start playing around with the tools, having that theory is just like crazy.
It's definitely cheat codes for sure.
I think it goes hand in hand though. I see a lot of musicians, especially ones from Chicago, make kind of honestly pretty mid albums because the production is just like super bad. It's like not bad, it's just like nothing.
Yeah.
But like you listen to someone like Quickly, who is like a production like god.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is what it could be if somebody knew theory, knew how to play instruments, and also knew how to produce. So I think like the lack of like production knowledge really holds a lot of artists back from like really getting to that next level. Because like, yeah,
No, I want the shit to sound clean
like
too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been listening to the same like just the same type of Chicago music for like the last like 15 years. It feels like it's just the same stuff, the same like chants, post chants type like stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's cool, but like it doesn't have any flair. And I think that's where, you know, a lot of stuff isn't like getting to that next level yet.
No, I hear you.
I feel you.
I feel that as well.
Should we? I think we play a track.
Yeah.
So you brought a lot of music.
Yeah.
Everyone's using Untitled, by the way.
It's so good.
Here, I'm gonna turn you up, Karen, and I'm also gonna close this door. But
It's so
good. Any ones you wanna pick? Huh? What knob? I don't know. I got it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the one that I've been the most success. So I've been trying to figure out this, like I said, electronic combination. The most recent thing I made, I went to the studio and worked with some musicians. I think it's called Dream something. I renamed it because it's had a bunch of different names, but it should be in there, Kara. I don't know if you can find it. Dream. What did I call it? Dream Your Way Out, I think.
Yeah.
What it called. So like I think initially it was called like the working title was like Sleepy Nap Time, and then someone was like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, well, it's just really a placeholder. But it's honestly like comes from like, I don't know if y'all be doing this, but like right before like I fall asleep, when my everything becomes silent finally in my brain, then like melodies or something will come in, and so
Oh,
I'd
really?
be pulling out like my voice memo, and that's when I like will sing. So a lot of my like voice memos are like right before I'm about to fall asleep, and I'll be like groggy, just like with the piano goes like you know?
Really? That's really interesting.
Yeah, so that's like so that's where the sleeping nap time. And then initially, anyways, yeah.
Are you a good napper?
I'm not a good not napper. I'm honestly not a really good sleeper either, but I try, you know. I've actually gotten better at napping recently, which it took a lot of practice.
I feel like when you get in the fold of a nap, like you go to bed or like you take a nap at a certain time of day, then the next day you're kind of like, oh, I could nap. You got to get in the cycle.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Siesta.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, let's run this one.
Beautiful. Got you.
Thank you, Kara.
I'm excited to hear it.
I think to turn it up, you got to go right hand corner. How's your volume? This one. This is crazy already. This is sick.
Oh my god.
This is actually blowing my mind right now.
Thanks, G.
Always love that high, like
Yeah,
summer
dude.
madness.
Harp Odyssey. That's
Oh.
that synth. It's crazy.
what do we call this genre? Like, it's feeling like kind of
jazz.
beboppy, or
Yeah.
it's like kind of fast.
I have no idea, dude. I'm trying to figure it out myself, honestly.
That's a good place to be.
It's like almost liquid drum and bass, kind of, but like,
But the sonic quality of like the drums and everything doesn't feel like that, you know?
yeah. Ooh.
What the fuck, dude? This is crazy.
Yeah, this part is crazy, dude.
Thanks, man.
Is this like all Ableton, or is this recorded?
So it all started out as like Ableton demo, and then I hollered at a homie who plays sax and flute, and then a homie who plays viola, and then a homie who plays keyboards, and then a homie who plays drums. And so this is like live drums with like the Ableton drum, like program drums, but the flute and like all that stuff's live. And then like there's some stabs that are VST, but then also stabs that are like live instruments, same with the piano as well. So it's just like mixing. That's what I mean. So like this is like the first time I feel like I've been able to like combine that like live thing and the electronic thing in a way that is starting to feel like I've found my voice in that space, because it's been hard to navigate, honestly, to try to figure out, because I feel like I've had to like level up the electronic stuff enough to like understand how to weave those things in and out. But I'm getting feels really close. I'm excited about this thing, whatever
Yeah.
this is gonna be.
And this is like a whip right now, right?
Yeah, like so it's, I would say like there's maybe some touches with that one that like arrangement, mixing, definitely, mastering, definitely. But I think a little bit of arranging. Other than that, I feel like it's pretty close. The idea is like pretty close.
I feel like structurally, song wise, it's like,
Yeah.
that's what's fucking, yeah.
Thanks, dude. Yeah.
So good.
It's just like, yeah, the mix is not there yet, and obviously not mastered. Anyways, that's
No, I mean,
dirty
it's
producer
it
stuff,
sounds-
but
yeah, for sure. Well, this is the podcast.
The
for
pod- yeah, I know
producers,
exactly.
So,
So-
we can get into it.
I feel like it's just like always the constant, like, you already know. It's like, it's
Well,
not mixed, it's not
every-
mastered yet, bro. Like,
yeah,
don't worry.
every single person's like, it's kind of trash, but like,
yeah.
let me know what you think. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I feel that.
That was really cool though, man. I was listening to the Socialist Dance
Yeah.
Party,
Yeah, social
right?
dance party, yeah.
And I put it on thinking like, you know, oh, it's gonna be a couple future EP vibe, but it's like a whole fucking album, dude.
Yeah.
That shit's like lengthy, which I am so excited about listening to albums, because I can just put it on for a long time and sit through it. And dude, great.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. Like, really just well done. Great for today, just walking around, walking the dogs.
yeah.
But like, I felt like the whole time I was like, what about socialism is going on in here? Like, is there something like,
Yeah.
is there something to that?
I can definitely like, yeah, totally dig into that. And the first, I would say consistently, and you know, like it's a classic, like I knew it was never going to be exactly what I wanted it to be. And so at a certain point I was like, I just got to release it. But I will say like the first like 6 tracks are pretty heavily like, if you understand, you kind of get it. So like literally starting with like Bread and Roses, like that tune. Bread and Roses is basically like a famous labor movement song that kind of started in Chicago, actually. Part of like the women's like suffrage movement, but also like bigger into like textile labor movement as well, because basically like there was a bunch of women and children that worked for these textile factories for a long time. This is like 100 years ago, even earlier than that, and basically the working conditions were terrible, right? Like,
Is
so,
this is like that factory that burnt down, right? Or,
yeah,
was
there's
that
a
in
bunch.
Chicago?
I
might not.
I'm not sure exactly which one you're, yeah. But basically, like, long story short, Bread and Roses kind of became like the anthem for that particular movement. And it, like I said, it started kind of in Chicago, but the biggest version of that actually happened out in Massachusetts, I believe, where they were like singing these songs and marching through the streets with like children and the women. And basically, like, you know, like honestly, like a bunch of them are like maimed, and like children too, like they would have like missing limbs and like scars all over their faces and things like that, because again, like the people that own the factories did not care at all. They just needed things to get done. They wanted things to be produced. So they're, living off essentially like bare minimum wages. If anything, that a lot of these places were also known as like company towns, which is essentially like where the company controls the currency within the town. So like everything you do, like that money does not actually work outside of that town. So like everything,
like they were giving people monopoly money, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. Honestly, it goes back to like sharecropping and all that shit too. It's the same. America's been doing that shit,
bro.
Yeah.
God damn.
So
they were giving you Artie bucks or care bucks, dude. Imagine giving out care bucks.
But so Bread and Roses, like that whole thing, that the beginning of the album, the Socialist Dance Party, like starts off with the Sada Shakur, and it's basically just like, so if you don't know, like Sada Shakur, Tupac's aunt, if anyone didn't make that connection, but she was a Black Panther. She had to flee the United States because after the Black Panthers had been seen as like a terrorist organization by the FBI, they just essentially started locking up and basically killing Black Panthers left and right. And so she fled the country because she was seen as like a terrorist. And so she moved to Cuba, and she was living in Cuba, and that was essentially when she made that speech just like on TV, which is essentially just like her talking about like socialism and just how like we need to like move forward away from like the systems that like essentially oppress people and that exploit other people, and we need to move towards like a world that is more like equitable to all people. And that's how the album starts, with that, and then going into Bread and Roses, which the sample that I use in that is from Bread and Roses, the song. So that's kind of like the jump. So that's like the socialism part in the very first track.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And then I'm trying to think like what's even after that. I know like the culmination of all that, it leads into this eventually to this track called Marx.
Yeah, that one
like
felt
through.
very socialism.
Yeah, and that one is another, like it's Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, who is that speech throughout the whole thing, and he's basically essentially just like talking about how capitalism and just like the war profiting and all the things that America has been like built off of is obviously again destroying other parts of the country and things like that and other parts of the world. And he's specifically talking about like Vietnam, and basically like what I thought it was like goofy. Me and my friend that were working on that one, we just kind of thought it was like, I don't know, goofy, poignant, whatever you want to call it, to like have like a hook for a song called like Marx, be good, like get money, and again have it be like Kwame Ture saying it, and all these kind of layers with it. But like the idea that is essentially like, you're told like you have to be upholding all these laws in this country and do all these things, but the government does whatever the fuck they want to do, or like the police state does whatever they want to do all the time. So anyways, not to get like too political, but it's like they are protected by the government. They're protected by the things that uphold all of this, which essentially is like police are there to protect the ruling class, if you want to like get into that kind of language. But that's kind of where that song comes from. And honestly, like I kind of wish if I were going to retitle that song, I would still call it Marx, but I would do MARKS, because I got really inspired by this group called the IWW, which is called International Workers of the World, which is another Chicago organization. They were kind of basically, they founded right after the Haymarket riots. And so it was a bunch of like labor organizers. Do you know the Haymarket riots? Do you know what that is? Like Haymarket Books, Haymarket riots. So Haymarket Square, which is downtown in Chicago.
Okay.
It's part of like it's why we have May Day, Labor Day. Like it's essentially like a big strike happened in Chicago, and this is like I can't remember exactly the exact date, or again, early 1900s. And essentially what happened was eventually someone threw like a Molotov cocktail, or like a kind of like a homemade bomb during this protest when police tried to start breaking it up, and a few police officers were killed, and then a few like protesters were killed. And so essentially the government, in order to like make an example out of certain individuals, they essentially like just picked random labor leaders, who a lot of them weren't even there that day to do it, and they just hung them, they lynched them in front of everyone. And so that was like,
Jesus.
Right after that was like where the wife, Lucy Parsons, which you can actually go, like all these things you can find in Chicago. Like you can literally go and find like Lucy Parsons placard, like where she lived. She lived like kind of near like Oz, like the Oz Park and stuff like that, right? Like anyways, so you can find all these things. They're all like historical landmarks of Chicago. It has like a really rich like labor and just like kind of like, I don't know, labor history in general. But and so they founded this organization called the International Workers of the World with her and this guy, Big Bill Haywood, which this is why I say that is because he said, I've never read Marx, but I have the marks of capitalism all over my body. And so that's kind of where that song title actually comes from, is even though I named it Marx, like Karl Marx, it was actually more a nod to, Big Bill Hayward.
Can we run Marx?
Yeah.
could you get it on Spotify?
I dropped that in the folder. So
if it's in the folder,
in
because
the folder.
I really like what you were talking about with the way that you go into the drop or the chorus or whatever. That little cheeky sample. You'll see. We'll get into it.
Ready going right now?
Yeah. Hit it. And I thank you for breaking all of that down. I want to get more into that.
Yeah, totally.
Because you're very knowledgeable about that. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No, it's all good, dude. Like I got too deep into it, honestly. Which is part of the reason why this project took so long to make, because it never felt like it was going to be good enough. You know, it's like, how do you condense so much history and so much of like what you're trying to say into. And some people can do it, and that's amazing. But
it's a dance party, though. You know, it's you gotta kind of put the dance in there too.
Control the means of production in the society, then we begin to understand that there are a few capitalists, and these capitalists exploit everybody because everybody works for them. Everybody sells their labor to them. It is by selling your labor to a capitalist that he's really able to exploit you. The sole motivating force in a capitalist society is profit. Profit. That is the sole motivating force. Profit. Get money. Get it. Get money. Get it. Get money. Get it. Get money. Get money.
Yeah.
Get it. Get money. Get it. Get money. Get it. Get money. Get it. Get money. Get it.
This got me going today. I was like,
I really tried to like do I don't know, like very like Detroit techno kind of vibe, very like Theo Parrish, that kind of space I was trying to occupy. Shout out Josh Jessen, great, amazing keyboardist, pianist in Chicago, played a lot of these synth lines. Word.
Get money. Get it. Get money. Get it. Get money. Get it.
The context really helps me enjoy the music a lot more.
Ain't nothing
It's
wrong
like
to kill
super
for
dope.
money. Hell, your country is napalming for money. You can certainly kill for some money.
we can fade it out.
Just get it. This is the overall philosophy.
Dude, yeah,
When
this
we
is
talk about revolution, we must talk about changing values.
This is fun.
This is
Cares like keep it.
it has the crazy break at the end. That was my nod to LAB scene, honestly, this one.
All right, we'll run. Care new.
Wait, put your hands up.
Oh yeah, this part is sick.
Yeah.
Get it. Get money.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Big release on that one. I was like
Gorgeous.
lots of like simmer energy, and then I just really like the idea of like, and it kind of sounds not to you like antiquated, but like the fact, like I've said this numerous times at the time, and I still feel this way. Like he ends that, he says, you know, when we talk about revolution, we talk about changing values, and there is a part of me that I'm like, I still super resonate with that, and I do believe that ultimately, like, but I think that is such a loaded word, like, because everyone, like, so many people have different values, and like, you know, like, and I feel like that has been used a lot, honestly, and not again to continue to be, I guess, it's political. That's just what it is. But
We're already
like,
in it.
yeah.
That's
So like,
cool.
like in conservative talking points and things like that, like I think that's a lot of thing that a lot of talking heads in that space will use against, like, honestly, like marginalized communities to be like, you know, like they're not it's not because like of systemic racism and shit like that. It's because of their values. They got fucked up values. So like that part of me, I'm like, I'm not trying to say that at all. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. And I think obviously like in context, I think a lot of people would be able to take that. But I do really think there's like a power and idea that's like, like especially in America, like, we still live in a democracy, and so a lot of these things come from like how we shape it. It's like we literally can potentially have the vision in our hands. Like we can change things. People have. That was the other thing about this album is like when you learn about all this shit, it's like damn, like every single person that was like out there making change, not every single one, but a lot of them, like they got bro. Like they got taken out. Like I mean, Fred Hampton, again talking about Chicago, it's like people were scared of that motherfucker because he was able to unify all different types of people. He was able to do the Rainbow Coalition shit. He was like kind of like the head figure of that shit, and so it's like. That's when people get scared, like is when
the people
like,
in power.
Yeah, the people in power. Yeah, it's like they're like, oh, like this person is starting to get like everyone is starting to like wake up, like arguably, like whatever they want to say about it. So that was kind of what this. So I wanted to like have this kind of idea in the album sequence. This track was meant to have these things, and you have like that big break at the end, and then after that it ends with like it's this more like just open jazz kind of tune called Repaired, and that's meant to be like fixing society or something, like low-key, like it's like, okay,
oh yeah, you were
destroying
like
everything,
it open, go halftime.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just like, we're gonna break everything down, deconstruction, and it's like, all right, like, that's the revolution, honestly. And like I'm not really, I don't want to say I'm like not for revolution, because I definitely am, but it's like it can be a really intimidating and scary thing to think about, honestly, because it's like there's kind of only been violent revolutions. So
yeah. Tell me a little bit more about how you got into this. And I also kind of want to talk about socialism in general, because it's kind of a dirty word.
It is. Yeah. That was also why I called the album that way, for sure. That's
to be a little facetious.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like it's tainted by the people that don't want socialism.
That's true.
Like it's honestly, to add on to this, it's just it's almost like we kind of talk about it as if they're not still disappearing our leaders, which is like, and it's crazy because our system has not really changed. They've just gotten better at hiding it, or gotten more bold about being like, I'm going to take this person right in front of you. You can't do anything. When in reality, like, we have millions upon millions of people around the world that are rallying for like the rights of people in like other countries. It's just crazy for them, like for this small majority of people that's like 0.001% to like, in a sense, act like all of our voices don't matter, when in reality, like, we control the entire system. It's such like, it's so weird. And we've like, it's like I think it's like mankind has been like this forever. It feels like you have like people that just hold power over everybody, and it's like, are we meant to live in this cycle because it's so ingrained into like human existence? So yeah, just want to talk.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. Yeah, I don't know. Also, chat, what do you think? Chime in.
Yeah, for real.
Before, get in here. So yeah, how did you get into some of the, like, the, maybe eventually like kind of socialism, but like it sounds like a lot of union and like labor stuff.
Yeah. So literally it just like came down, I think it was like one, just like, I think the things that led me here was probably just like a lot of like living life and the situation that I was like born into and everything, and like just seeing how my family dealt with things, and then continuing that, seeing with friends and how they were living through life. But really the big catalyst honestly was like lockdown. So it was like COVID, lockdown, somehow, like, obviously, like, there's lots of fucking turmoil happening at this time. I was out at a lot of protests, and I was just like searching for, I guess, meaning or how to be more helpful in these things. And then eventually the IWW came across my feed, honestly. Like, it just, like, I don't remember exactly even what it was at this point. It was something like I got blessed by like YouTube feed, and
that's odd, because you'd think that they would be like, no, or whatever. Like,
I guess I was just like eating up that shit at the time. So it's just like, that's what kind of popped in my feed. And it was like, it's history stuff, right? Because like, this is all stuff that, like, again, is a century old. And that was what was so fucked up about me. Like Kara just said, right? It's like, it was just be like, damn, like, they be doing the same shit. Like it's like,
and we all have amnesia about that.
Yeah,
Like,
or
I am not aware.
yeah, people
you gotta dig.
You got to dig, exactly. And so learning about that and being like, oh, these people fought these battles, and also like, so I should say like IWW was like one of these first organizations that was like all about like essentially like, and you know, on paper at least, like it was all about essentially like we need to make one, they called it one big union, literally like a global union. That was the whole point. They're like, we need to make one massive thing, and that's the only way we can actually thwart out capitalism, or at least like throw out the exploitation that's happening from it. So like it was like we have to like back in like the early 900s, like we have to be anti-racist, we have to be like inclusive to like all different types of people. That's just the only way we can do this, because if we leave anyone out, like we're not going to be able to do this. And that was like their whole thing. And they got pretty big. And they started having chapters, like there's a chapter in Brazil, there's a chapter in Spain, like a big one in the United States, and in Chicago, and then like a bunch up in like Washington. And then as time goes, as we kind of know, if you look throughout history, I think like 1917, around like World War I and things, like basically the government started cracking down on, because they started becoming like more powerful, and we're kind of going against like other labor unions, like the AFL, which was willing to work alongside the government in order to meet things, right? Because so technically it's illegal to go on strike unless you get permission to go on strike, right? This happened with Biden. This happened with Biden and the railroad system, right? Like the railroad workers wanted to go on strike, and Biden said no. And so they could technically not legally go on strike. They could do what's called a wildcat strike, and a wildcat strike means that you say, fuck it, we're going to go on strike no matter what. But the thing with that then is then potentially like essentially then the government can be like, oh, we're going to send the police after you because you're doing this illegally. Like you're not allowed to do this. So you can get arrested then. Or you can, you know, like there's just different things that can go about that make it so that it makes it more difficult. So this started happening to a lot of those people in the IWW during this period of time. And again, they were just like, they literally were like partnering up with like the Ku Klux Klan and shit like that, and would like go to these like IWW rallies and just like murder people and like lynch people and do all that kind of stuff. So that started kind of sow division. And then also like because the USSR low key, high key, like started kind of becoming like a bigger deal, they're just becoming a bigger faction of people that were just like straight up like communists that were American, and either started defecting or basically kind of just started like separating. There became less of like this idea of like, oh, we need like one big union. It became like, oh no, like the USSR is doing one big like communism thing, like we should be that. So there started to be some like internal division as well, and who knows, that could be like ops as well. You never know,
They
like,
got in there and fucking that's what I'm saying. It's like everything, you get like a bad egg in there, and they just start to like, and they're really convincing because you know that there was so much of that happening. Yeah,
dude. And that's like, so that's why like I get into like socialism, like, right, like all the shit systems, right, like, and that's where I find the optimism honestly in it, like, because systems can be updated and changed, and like, right, that's the whole kind of point of them, right? Like there's a functional system that you can use, and then you can adapt to the modern times where you need. And like the thing with like, I guess like arguably you could make that it's like it's always will be a person, like you can always have one bag egg, and that can ruin the whole system, right? Like you could argue that's what's happening with capitalism right now. It's like you have a few people that have allowed for like a concentration of wealth to happen to like a very, very small portion, and then those people really just are like do not care about the rest of the world like by any means, you know, because either they're power hungry or whatever it might be. But like anyways, like to get off that, it's like I think if you had like to go to like use a country as an example, Singapore, right? Singapore actually has like crazy laws against corruption in their politics, to the point that's like if you do anything corrupt in politics, like you are like locked up for life, or like I think maybe even like death penalty type shit. I'm not sure about that. I don't want to be quoted on that, but like but yeah,
can we look that up?
Yeah. So it's like they have been able to like basically completely weed out like corruption in their politics. Now America, obviously we have lobbyists, right? We have allowed for people to essentially just come in and like buy up political figures, and we allow politicians to participate in the trades and like all this, you know, like, so it's become a lot more like murky in terms of like who is actually trying to be an actual advocate for like the people, as opposed to who's just being I guess grimy kind of gluttonous, greedy person who's just essentially trying to like play systems and manipulate things to understand themselves. So when I talk about like socialism, or like in my philosophy is like, you know, like we already have something like the UN, right, established, right? Because I genuinely do believe that like if you were going to have like socialism, you kind of need to do it globally. Like you can't really do it in a way that is like isolated. I mean, people do like systems or versions of it, right? Like, or use different, they borrow from it, right? Like you'll have places like Germany or Switzerland or, you know, like a lot of the Nordic countries that have like different models of socialism involved in their politics or the way the market systems work. And I think that's awesome too. But I think like capitalism, or like essentially the way we have it set up currently, is going to continue to exploit all the people that are not part of like the imperial core forever. And that might shift. Like America might not be the imperial core soon, honestly, like based on like the way things are going. And that's kind of scary to think. It's like we've never in our lifetime, we've never experienced that. We don't know what that's like, you know, like for the most part, we're all living pretty good, you know, like even if there's like different slights here and there, like you're living paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of people are still getting by okay comparatively. But it's like, yeah, anyways, that's a little like doomerism. But like I'm trying to be optimistic, and I guess like thinking about something like the UN being like a council that actually functions as a political body, as opposed to kind of what they're right now, which is kind of just like trying to slap wrists of people but not really doing much. That could be like a real like opportunity to engage in a way that we could have every country around the world could have a vote, and we could like talk about like, okay, this country has these resources, how do we make that equitable for other people? Like who, maybe they are the people that like are functioning these resources, maybe this is the people that have like the factories, as opposed to like what we're doing right now, which is just like free trade, or arguably like manipulated trade at this point. And that feels a lot more complicated and a lot more easy to take advantage of, other than like a ruling body of all the countries who are participating in that to, I guess, push forward a more equitable agenda. Sorry, not to.
No. I appreciate you breaking it down, because it does feel like a lot of systems that we have right now can be gamed, and it's not even for like good or bad. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna like go put a bunch of money into the stock markets, and like we're gonna put money into this thing because like it's able to be manipulated, and it's not even really based on the value of it. Yeah, it's just like people that get into it and they're like, oh, let's pump some money into it and then take it out and then just play with the system. It's like,
dog, that's like what's so weird about America right now is like most of our jobs aren't anything. like a lot of people, I shouldn't say but like a lot of people's jobs are like nothing. Like the people who are actually doing well in this country, they're doing stuff in spreadsheets. It's like nothing, right? It's like it's all speculative, right? Like it's like the existing imagined world, there's no actual physical product that comes out of like what they're doing oftentimes. And so like there's a lot of performance that comes around that too, because it's like they have to meet certain expectations, certain numbers, all those kinds of things. So it creates a random demand that isn't even there.
Dude, that's why this is going to sound really or just far reaching, but like the podcast for producers, people that actually like produce things, I think is going to be so valuable in the future. And who knows, this podcast could turn into not just music. It could be literally oh, you fucking make stuff.
I love
you know
that,
what I mean?
But
sick. Like legitimately, it's like I've lived my life trying to come from a place of like, I want to make something genuinely new. Yeah. And people that just kind of like analyze information, it definitely takes brain power. Yeah, 100%. I'm not saying it's like bad, but I think people should strive to create new things. Not that you're always going to hit the mark, but just like continuing the evolution of things. And maybe not everyone can produce things, right? But
exactly.
Yeah, anyway, that's just like a thing. Also, I was thinking about this in another far-fetched conspiracy theory type of thing. I feel like there's been so much like workwear stuff, and maybe it's just because we're like, I'm right over like in Wicker Park and everyone's wearing Carhartt, and maybe it's just the Midwest, but like these are cat pants. They sell these at Costco, and I love them.
Yeah, they're sick.
And maybe there's just a go back to things that are durable, and that last. Well, that's but also, are we being slightly brainwashed to then become worker bees for the for the future that is not any white collar jobs? No, I don't know. It's getting out there.
I like that. I was gonna say not to like. But a lot of those work. Right,
does anybody want a beer?
I was like, we could move on after this.
No. I'm into it.
I hear you, but like, the workwear thing is interesting, right? Like, because it's like this stuff was like known. It's the same thing, honestly, with like anything, honestly, unfortunately.
Carhartt,
like
Doc
Martin, all those types of things, right? It used to be like really reliable.
Levi's,
a lot of that stuff used to be like made in America or like made like somewhere like there was a reliable trace of it. There was no like cutting corners. Like people were paid arguably like fair wages, those kinds of things. And this goes down with like, again, union busting, right? A lot of it, like America has totally crushed, and starting with like Reagan and shit like that, totally crushed like union culture largely. And so like this work where it's interesting because you talk to people and it's like, if you get, that's why people look for like old school Carhartt stuff, right? Because the quality is so much better and it'll last longer than modern stuff. Because a lot of that's new stuff, they're just like churning it out because like they're like, this is what's popular right now. It became fast fashion, right? So it's like they're cutting on material costs, they're cutting on like production costs in any way that they can, because they're like, oh, we can eat right now. And so like it lost the actual meaning for what it was used for, which is be like, yeah, reliable workwear, right? And so it's interesting. Again, that's like one of those examples. It's like you're just like racing to the bottom of quality, right? Like capitalism is like forced.
Feels so. I don't know.
I like the worker bee though. That's
worker bee. Well, dude. So my dad, he's a general contractor. He's always wearing Carhartt.
Yep.
Like we would make fun of him because he was wearing his Carhartt overalls.
Yep.
And now, like he's gotten me a lot of stuff. And now living over here, it's like everyone's rocking it, and like no one really is doing that life, like working construction and shit.
Rare,
not that you have to, because it is just like the baseline of Carhartt I still think is like pretty high, like as in quality. It's like durable. It's gone down, but like it just feels weird seeing everybody wearing kind of this like, because it's trendy.
It's
you know
trendy,
what I mean?
yeah.
I don't know. And it's not that's just out there. That's just what
But
happens.
it's not only trendy, it's like functional, and that's why it was created in the first place.
That's
yeah,
real.
so there's a multitude of reasons.
Well,
right.
I want to dig deeper into this because I think it's like the shift into like minimalism and like the probably the capitalism is probably failing because more people want less in a sense.
Yeah.
Which is like probably closely associated to like communism. But like I think like that shift into like wanting like things that are just like where everyone looks the same and everyone is like, I guess similar is I don't know. I feel like it's like a natural progression. But yeah, that's kind of like my take on it right now.
Like that it's intentionally.
I think it's intentionally like made that way. I think that when we all kind of like start wearing workwear and things that are like functional, it kind of gets rid of like fast fashion in a sense, because you're no longer dressing to like look cute. You're dressing so that I could go to work and also go home, or go out to the club afterwards and like still be comfortable in my workwear
And functional.
I think it's like a natural progression of like fashion.
Yeah. I think it's a few things, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's a pendulum swinging towards like, hey, instead of buying a bunch of cheap things, I could buy like a couple nice things that are just going to be like very reliable and wear over time.
That's where I'm at. I like that.
And just be like kind of nice. I don't know.
Yeah, dog. And then just like, I don't know, be on the anti-consumer shit, like just go to a thrift store. Like, you know, it's like, I mean, like, it's just so easy. Like, I don't know, like you can find, if you just spend a little time, we have so many great thrift stores.
I went to one today.
Like,
I literally went there. I was looking for an extra large dog crate.
yeah.
And I was like, sadly, people lose their dogs and then
That just
leave
happened.
And it's like, oh, for you?
Yeah, my dog died like 3 weeks ago.
Damam, all right.
I'm sorry,
So
dude.
you might have an extra large dog crate.
Actually?
Oh, that's my dad.
Okay, fuck.
Once he heals
Yeah.
a little bit.
No rush, man. Fuck. Goddamn. But
Yeah.
but I'm sorry, Carrot. That's
no,
I'm genuinely
Condolences,
sorry.
bro.
Dogs are pure souls.
Hey,
True.
hey, R.I.P. Roman.
Hey,
Yeah. Hell yeah, Dub Siren. Fuck yeah.
there we go.
Okay, so but yes, you're right. There's a lot of things, and it's kind of like if you're looking for it, you might find it. Like if you go to the thrift store and you just think this is all junk, what am I gonna do with this? Okay, maybe you're like, okay, whatever. But like if you go in there looking for something, you're probably gonna find it, unless it's really rare or something. But
Yeah,
like,
and even then you find like, dog, like we live pretty close to each other. So like I live like Roscoe Village, North Center.
oh,
and
the
like,
Village discount over there
that
was
one
there today.
that's the one, dog. That's like, I mean, I don't think it's very much of a secret anymore, but it's like the amount of like like crazy quality things I've found in there, and like some brand shit that's like cool, you know. It's like damn, like,
Yeah.
I don't really want these, but it's cool that they have them here, you know, like, because people just be in that neighborhood, because it's a wealthy neighborhood, people just be tossing stuff because they don't even be thinking about it. So or they get bulk for whatever, you know, Target or wherever might just like throw a bunch of shit away. And so they just get a bunch of brand new clothes, never worn clothes. So just like looking at stuff. And then I've just been really big on like, my girl actually got me onto all this, but like just not wearing plastic basically, because like so much clothing is made of plastic now. So it's like I just looking at every tag, like is it made of cotton, is it made of wool, like, and then it's like
acrylic.
I know
thing.
exactly, dude. So it's like, and so yeah, I've just been way more intentional about that side of things as well.
Ooh.
So yeah,
I'm about to get on that because
it's good.
Yeah. Especially underwear.
We switch to like cotton underwear, or like bamboo. But the bamboo stuff, I don't really know sometimes. But yeah,
I got some hemp socks that are crazy, dog. I wish I could find some. I should find hemp underwear, but honestly, I have a couple pair of hemp socks that are like the best socks I have.
Man,
I've had them for numerous years, and it's crazy. Like they hold up so good.
That's another conspiracy. The hemp thing.
The hemp thing? What's the conspiracy? Put me on game, bro.
I don't know exactly what it is, but basically, like they were like, "Oh, hemp is really durable, and like, we can figure out a way to make it kind of like cotton and use it for a lot of stuff." And then the cotton market was like, "Nah, fuck that shit."
I mean, that makes sense. Again, like they cornered the market, literally. You know, like cotton is the thing.
I could be. I'm talking out my ass. Fact check me.
No, I mean
that feels right. I mean, that could be anti-weed shit, honestly, too. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
I think that's what they did. They made it a weed thing, like, you smoke reefer, and it's like that's degenerate
you
behavior.
Find out that what is it reefer madness? That's like all funded by big cotton.
No, like I'm legitimately can you just type in reefer madness funded by big cotton? Maybe ChatGPT. I have ChatGPT too, so we could, goddamn, we're gonna go deep.
Oh man.
Okay, wait, so I also I was thinking I'll get you some beer. I'll get a beer for us. But I wanted to. There's a couple different avenues. One thing you mentioned, which I think would just be a fun, random side tangent.
Yeah, let's get it.
Was a Himboism.
Oh yeah, Himboism.
Okay, let me get this beer. Care if you find anything. Just give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
No big cotton. They probably scrubbed that shit though, honestly. Yeah. So you're probably right, dog. They came through like they're like, you know, the I don't know, Hanes or Fruit of the Loom. Those CEOs be sitting next to, I don't know who runs Google. Do you know? Did anyone know that? I know it's like I know Bezos and those. No, he's Amazon, obviously.
Who runs
Google? Thank you. I know. She's been chilling here the whole time. She very cozy.
What do we got?
Oh, I can't do it. My tummy hurts already.
Fair. It's here if you want.
Oh, okay. I gotta figure out this name.
Oh yeah. The name of Google. Himboism though.
Himboism. Yeah.
Let's get into it, dog.
So the concept is being a man, being a good-looking man, right?
Yeah. So I think no, you're good. That's totally. I think there is a lot of area to explore regarding Himboism. I think the initial thing was apparently it comes from like this article that was written, I don't know exactly, late 90s, early 2000s maybe.
Also, I'll just say this, that I asked you before the show, I was like, is there anything you want to specifically talk about? You're like, I've been kind of into Himboism. I was like, what is that? Let's break it down.
So it's, for me, like there's two avenues and I'll talk more about it, but like, so anyway, so it came from this article and it's basically like this woman, I think it was maybe a Vogue article or something like that, but she was like, or New York, I don't remember, but she said something about this, like she's like, the age of like the blonde bombshell, blah blah blah, like the bimbo is gone, now we're in the dawn of the himbo or something like that, basically like a flip on like bimbo. But then I think I think bimbo kind of became like almost derogatory. I think himbo is seen as like desirable in a lot of ways, I guess,
like daddy.
Not, I don't know about daddy. Like I think there's still like,
what's a himbo? Can you look it up?
There's generally like a vapidness to it. So it is like, I would say like descriptors emotionally intelligent. I think that is a very important part of Himboism.
The one guy from the Lizzie McGuire, my girlfriend loves him. I forgot his name.
Gordo.
It's not Gordo. He's not the himbo. It's the blonde tall guy. Because my girlfriend watched back and she was like, he's the smartest person in the movie, and he's so emotionally intelligent because he's so nice to everybody.
But he's kind of, kind of a dork. But he's not a dork. He's just
like goofy and like kind of like you would think he would be like
not super smart. Oh yeah,
and you would think he wouldn't be smart either. but the way he talks makes him seem dumb, but what he says is so smart. You're like, what?
Yeah, so it's like I don't want to say antithesis to jock because it's not, but it kind of it's like the build is like it's hyper masculinity, right? That's kind of part of like himbo a lot of times too. Is it's like you present very masculine. You're big. You're like just a huge person typically too. A lot of himbos are like very large.
Beefy.
I would say Goku, like what I'm kind of realizing is like a lot of like the characters I resonated with were like kind of himbos when I was growing up, and Goku being like, I don't know if there's any anime heads of you all watch Dragon Ball Z or anything, but anyways, like Goku was like number one, like one of my favorite characters of all time. And I would say Goku is a big himbo, a huge himbo, honestly. Like
we need a himbo tier list.
Yeah, right, for real, dude. Like Kronk is another one.
Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth plays a lot of he's a solid himbo. Thor, Loki is kind of a himbo.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like again, like emotionally intelligent, like typically like. I don't want to say like dumb, like there is like an idea that like there's a lack of like just like book smarts or something there, but it's more of like being like blissfully unaware, like so just like unbothered by these issues and just focusing on the betterment of yourself and your community. I think it's kind of like part of like himbo.
That's so big.
Like it's just like you're just looking out for those around you. And you're very well intentioned, and oftentimes yes there's like an idea of like they're beautiful a lot of times, so it's kind of supposed to be part of it too. So like all those things I've been really into, because I just like, again, I work with kids, and so I work with like young boys and things like that, so you know, like it's interesting to see teaching in the age of the manosphere has been a trip, dog. Like I've had kids be like, what do you think about Andrew Tate, man? And I'm like, I think he's whack, don't listen to that dude. like and like again, presenting how I present, which is again very masculine, but I was raised by women, like so I've always
you're a himbo.
I'm
sorry if that's derogatory.
No, you're good. I want to lean into being a himbo. I want to liberate myself. Like I think part of like why I'm so, because I made the Socialist Dance Party thing, and as you heard, I got super deep into all that shit, and like I wanted to go down, I guess, like this kind of like historical and like intellectual rabbit hole and theories and all these things. And so now it's like the flip side of that. It's like I just want to like still kind of explore something, but through like a very like fun and lighthearted lens. And I feel like, so like initially like the name that I came up with, which I'm going to continue working on, I haven't like really made any music officially for this project, but it's Himbo Slice, which is like play on Kimbo Slice, if you know like the.
Do we have any Himbo Slice?
I don't.
tunes?
I guess technically,
that could be.
I made that SZA flip, which like I put as Himbo. It's like, yeah.
Can we say that? Can we run it?
We can definitely run it. That's
Where's it called?
Saturn. I think it's called Saturn Himbo. Himbo Saturn.
Okay,
Something like that.
this. Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Hit it. Run it.
All right.
Hell yeah.
I'm about to fading y'all in.
Fade it in.
I'm a fader.
Shout out Pacifico. Dude, I always shout out the beer brands for some reason. I'm just like, yo, free advertising. Yeah.
Job's coming.
Can we get a dub siren? You can dubs. I give you free reign of dub siren. Use it as much as you want. I thought that was in the song, bro.
It's perfect.
Crazy.
I need this.
Yeah.
I'm playing a show next week.
I'll send it. Yeah. Okay. Goddamn.
Soon I'll have you on the actual faders,
That's what I
not just like
We were talking
mouse.
about, we were talking about the fader, the sliders, dog.
Yeah. All right, I think we can fade this one.
Definitely.
That's a bump right there.
Yeah, so not necessarily. I don't know if that one totally necessarily fits, because the part that feels himbo about it is using like a modern diva that feels kind of like himbo adjacent, but SZA's also like kind of just like moody, and like that song's literally about like wanting to leave the planet because it's trash, you know. So
I heard a little, and correct me if I'm wrong, part of it was also just like kind of doing good for the people around you, because I feel like we were talking about, you know, before, it's like a societal, systemic change, whereas when we were talking about this last time, just being good to the people around you, and if everyone kind of did that, then
yeah,
that almost cures the problem.
yes, 100%.
Too,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So was that kind of what you were saying?
I think
before
I do think there is a level of like I'm trying to think of like there's a resonant himbo character. I think there is someone that everyone can resonate with, but I was like, mine is like Goku, right? Like Goku is willing to like he arguably like says some of the dumbest things in that show of all time. He's low-key kind of the one thing I will say is like, oh look, he's kind of a deadbeat dad. but outside of that,
dies like
he dies a lot. That's true, but like he does it because he's sacrificing himself for the greater good of like humanity, or like for the people, right? For the people that he loves, right? And so he's always trying, and even that, he's like, other than like he's either talking to the villain that's like, I'm gonna blow up this planet, and he's like, I just want a good fight, you know. Like he's like, I really wish you would like see things my way and not blow up the planet, but if you're gonna blow up the planet, I'm gonna have to whoop your ass. Like that's kind of like, you know, like he ultimately always wants to lead with love, right? Like he means the best, and he wants people to see things his way, like, and I don't want to say like he's like forcing anyone in any particular way, but he's like, listen, if we were more compassionate in this moment, if we were empathetical, and like specifically I think going with Himboism, it's like, yeah, like empathetic masculinity, right? It's like if you are leading with that kind of thing, then it's like you hope that other people are willing to change their behavior, I guess, or at least like be like, oh, I'm also, maybe I should also not want to blow, in Goku's case, not blow up the planet, and like, you know, try to help out these people, which has worked. I'm like, Boo, low key, like, again, I'm getting too deep into
Boo's a good guy.
He's a bad guy that becomes a good guy in Dragon
right.
Ball, and the kind of, because like eventually they kind of just like show him love, they like forget. And Android 18, right? Like she she switches because like she falls in love with she gets in love with Krillin, and so like I don't know, there's like, so I think there is this Goku and Gohan, honestly, although Gohan's supposed to be really like book smart and stuff, but like there's a lineage there of like, again, empathetic masculinity, and I think that's all resonant of like of Himboism. Yeah. And then there's other himbo characters that there's like lines, there's lots of debates. I feel like if you go on the internet, if you're like tapped into this space, there's definitely lots of space. But I've been someone, I was like, I've said this numerous times to my friends, and especially like anyways, but yeah, I was like, I walk into barbershops and I sometimes feel uncomfortable being in a barbershop, and it's because it's such a masculine space, and I know I should not feel uncomfortable being in those spaces based on how I present and things like that, but there is a genuine, and like it's crazy because I'm sure like a lot of femme people like feel this all the time, but it's like there's just like a presence sometimes with masculinity that I'm not saying there's necessarily wrong, but it's just, I think there's like so many expectations and things around like the idea of masculinity and things like that, and a lot of people performing like a mask of what masculinity should be or what they've been taught it is. And I think we need to shatter that shit. And I think like the more people that like look hella masculine, you know, like again, like big and brawny and all that type of shit, that are just like, nah, like I want to care for this person because it's a nice thing to do, or just like help this person out because it's a nice thing to do. I think that's gonna obviously, like you said, like lead to a better world. You're looking out for other people.
I feel like a barbershop. First of all, I don't get my hair cut at a barbershop.
Word. I do salon too.
I go to the Aveda salon.
Yeah.
That's hella cheap. If anyone's looking for a cheap haircut, $18. Students cut.
Oh, the
students
student cut.
cut your hair, but then the instructor comes by, got the best haircut of my life last time.
Fire.
But also, like, probably never going to get the same haircut 'cause it's a different person every time. Anyway, I feel like going into a barbershop could be either way. Because I know some barbers that are, like, really into the style. They want to, like, make you happy. They want to, like, get into the art of it. And then there's other guys who are like, hey, I'm going to cut your hair. You know, you're like, what's going on? You know?
And I've definitely been in both. And I will say, like, I've been to places that are, like, super about style and stuff like that, but still that presence of, like, the mask of masculinity or the presence of masculinity in those spaces. And there's part of me that's just maybe reading into it again. But honestly, like, it feels that way in a lot of like the beat scene, low key, is kind of like that too.
I'm
Like,
trying to change
a lot of dudes. Yeah, Care's been like, we need to get some more women on the show. I was like,
that's my main goal. Like,
yeah.
because I can't really be around it because it's so broy and like the beats low key are like kind of mid now because everybody's just regurgitating the same masculinized boom bap bullshit and nobody really wants to hear that shit anymore. Which is it is cool and it has so much history behind it. But like it's like low key, it's just like a. Can I be controversial?
Yeah, go for it.
It's like a bunch of like white people making fucking black music, and that's just like kind of played out. Like
we're sitting here like
there's more.
That's true. I mean,
there is more to the music than just like boom bap and lo-fi fucking hip hop. Like we can go above that, dude, and diversify the music with like queer ears and in the ears of like women and different people.
I think even to extend that to people who are more deep into like electronic music, because there's a lot of, I feel like a lot of guys get into just making beats like kind of the original, how people used to make it back in the day. But like, bro, we got synthesizers, we got like tons of other tools.
Yeah, there's like a lack, and again, you could argue that it is coming from the same issue or something. I mean, I do think there's like an idea of like honoring lineage, which I think you said, right? Like there's an idea that you're part of this thing and you're trying to respect that thing. But I think the people that honor the lineage the most are building upon it, right? Like I'm honestly like in my core, like I'm a really like a jazz musician or like practice Black American music, right? Which is like a term that a lot of Black jazz musicians have chosen over jazz, I guess. But essentially, like
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's because not to get it, but it's like basically if you like trace it, it's like most American culture comes from Black folks, right? Like so, like, and obviously like music is like one of the biggest parts and the biggest export from America. So a lot of people getting that shit from here and from Black folks. So like I feel like. All that being said, in like that culture, in jazz culture, whatever, right? It's like they learn. There was this passing of the torch kind of thing, right? People were like passing and like learning from each other and passing down these ideas, but it was about building ideas from each other instead of like just trying to copy that person. That maybe that's the classic thing people talk about, like, oh, you copy first and then you like develop your own voice, or through like the multitude of copying stuff, you will develop your own voice because you're going to pull influences that are uniquely you, right? And I think sometimes with the beat scene, like here right now, there's a little bit of a stagnation, and it's somewhat of I don't want to like, it kind of feels like it was kind of caused a little bit by streaming culture, a little bit too, like it, because it's like even the fact that it's called lo-fi feels crazy to me. Like it's like boom bap hip hop, like I don't know, like that's like where like the lineage is, and like the fact that like some people are like they don't even know that it's called like boom bap, like it just feels weird to be like I make lo-fi beats, like
lo-fi,
and it's like what the fuck are you talking, like lo-fi is just a frequency, like it's just a fidelity, right? Like it's not. You could have any type of music could be lo-fi. There's tons of music that is lo-fi, right?
It's almost like saying
Elliott Smith is lo-fi,
music.
like yeah. So it's anyway. Sorry, but
go ahead.
No,
I think like just to like clarify my point, so I'm not like
just hot taking.
It's more so that if there's a difference, because when you pay back into the community by being involved in like Black social issues, that is a difference. Or like, queer issues, that is a difference. Or trying to create change. Socialist Dance Party is literally about like making people aware of the work that our ancestors have done to like give us safe working environments and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And that research and that knowledge in that type of activism in our art is important.
Yeah.
And when we make Black music, but we don't pay back into Black culture, it kind of just feels like people are kind of stealing our culture and just like creating like images off of it. And it's so much easier as an artist that is not a Black artist to really pop off on like social media and stuff, because for some reason the algorithm just likes those type of artists automatically. So I think there has to be like a little bit of like a push and pull and a little bit of like activism with the with like the creation of like Black music. And like, so yeah, that's how I kind of feel about it.
I feel that.
Clarify.
Yeah. No. Thank you for clarifying.
Is this too,
No.
I mean,
We're getting
bro, I had
into
like a
it's
15-minute, lecture on socialism for there, so it's all good. We're in it, bro.
I was just gonna say, because we talk about this a lot on the show, and it's something that I kind of maybe, I don't know, like just trying to think about and am grappling with, which is, you can be a producer, like for myself, my own journey, right?
Yeah.
You can be a producer, learn about music that you think is cool, try to start emulating it, maybe download like sample packs that kind of get you there, and like you could be kind of insulated from the history of it for a long time, just based on like the internet. You just go on the internet, you find a track, you think it's cool, and then you try to reproduce that sound. But I do feel like most people end up doing their homework, and not everyone does. But I feel like there's got to be like a little bit of leeway that we give people, where it's like, at what point do you start to dive a little bit deeper and learn about the origins of the music? Because I think someone who's super new to making music or something would be like, well, fuck, like I got to think about all this other stuff. And it's important to think about, but also I feel like that could detract from getting into it, because it's not just about the music, it's about a social issue. Which I think we just got to give people a little bit of grace, but like ultimately people need to, in my opinion, and after doing this podcast and having a lot of conversations with people, I think it is important to dig a little bit deeper, get into the history, and let people know about that, because it in one way it just makes you smarter and like more knowledgeable,
and it honestly feeds into the music becoming better once you actually understand like the history and the context behind it. Like be involved in, I guess, be involved in the struggle, because the struggle is like kind of what creates the music. The politics is what creates the music. Once you understand that and once you're involved in it, I bet your music will have more soul. And what I hear a lot is like soulless music, and that's like really why in like the standard of music today, a lot of like the music I hear in like Chicago in general just feels like, especially from like men, just has a lack of soul that I just low key cannot get with, because there's nothing about it. Like y'all not talking about, you're not speaking about like queer issues or things going on with women.
Yeah, it's like, it's art specifically. I mean, I get, again, like anyone should be able to participate in this thing, and I totally agree with you. Like we need grace in most like we need that in most faculties in our lives, right? Like not just in music, right? Like you need to let people, ideally, again, this is maybe the educator coming out, but it's like you gotta like try to, you can't always lead someone to water, right? Or you can guide them, but you can't make them drink, right? Kind of thing. And I think you have to have a certain amount of patience for people to like hopefully come to those realizations themselves. But I also think, like you said, like there is a potential of like someone, if they get too over concerned with some of those issues, then they might not develop their own voice either, which is also like can be tricky. But again, like you have to also think about kind of what Kara was saying, was like the whole thing is like, this is like ancient, like, you know, like people have been making music and passing stories forever, right? And also like art should be a reflection of the times that we're living in, right? Always, like, and I think the most powerful art is that. And the complicated thing that I personally think about a lot is like a lot of artists, because they're coming from their own personal experience, that's what people resonate, and that's why they fall in love with that particular person, is like their viewpoints and their struggles and what they're going through, and that's what they kind of like see as the amalgamation of like all of what they believe and what they feel and all those things. And my own thing is like I went through this like history angle and kind of done that, and it's my own kind of like journey in my own way, and this is how I presented it. But it's like interesting to see like there isn't I don't want to say there isn't a lot of political art happening right now, because there is. Like, I do think there is a lot of stuff. But again, like, the stuff that is the most popular, the most famous, and the most successful is not going to be that. Because, again, there's no interest. It doesn't benefit, again, the ruling class, the record labels, to put out stuff that's, like, anti that, right? Which is why when you get people that are actually saying things, like, even if it's at awards or whatever it might be, you know, like, and actually speaking out, like Chappell Roan at the Grammys, right? Like, there's moments where people are saying things and are actually trying to, like, become self-advocates or advocates for other people, and that is really important. But I think the art or music specifically as a tool to, like, organize and, like, get people in community is always going to be a really powerful tool. I don't know if that necessarily compounds anything that we're talking about.
No, I think there's a lot of cognitive dissonance with this stuff. Like, I think about the bass music scene too. It's like there's a bunch of people that look like me.
Yeah.
Or like when I had longer hair, just like on stage playing like a lot of dub and like, you know, music that comes from Jamaica. And it's like, I bought a dub siren. Like, is that cultural appropriation? Like, I'm going to say no.
That's a respect, yeah.
But if you have the respect.
Yeah.
I respect the fuck out of it. Yeah. But I think that there is some cognitive dissonance going on. A lot of the people that are DJs that are making this music, you know, maybe they aren't from where the origins of it is. And I guess I just struggle, and this is where I think it's just like an open rhetorical question. It's like, you know, like, is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay that not everyone looks like the people that originally made this music?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
It's like it's about, like, paying homage to it.
Mhm.
And, like, you know, like, if you're gonna, like, throw a dub show, like, straight up dub music, if you got a whole bunch of like if you do like a reggae show and you have a bunch of white folks selecting, like, you know, selecting music, like, that kind of looks weird. But if you're gonna throw a dub show, you do the history behind it. You also bring in people that are, like, knowledgeable and also look like the originators of the music. You know, like, you shouldn't have a house music show and then not have any queer or black artists or people of color on that lineup. That makes no sense whatsoever, you know?
But what if it's like an export where it's like the people that are getting exported this type of art are all not of that culture, but they're with it, but there's no one from that scene that can then be there. That's where it gets like a little bit kind of in my mind where it's like things can look optically not correct.
Yeah.
But people can still be totally with the soul of it, you know?
That is true. And yeah.
I think that's the respect that you're talking about. And, like, and it was funny. I watched.
This is good. We're digging in.
Yeah.
As you should.
Hell yeah.
I watched this YouTube video. It was actually really dope, but it was entitled "All My Friends Hate Skrillex."
I saw that.
You
I
saw
saw
that,
that
okay.
video. Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like I'm the electronic music, the way I got into it was low key, like, probably through hip hop. I mean, it had to be through, like, rap music, beat shit, honestly, and then through LA beat scene stuff, and that was kind of like where I got into it.
Like Low End Theory.
Yeah, Low End Theory. And then I would say, like, my cousin was a raver growing up, so, like, he definitely put me on to some cuts.
Is this the same guy that put you onto the ska stuff?
No, that's my, like,
I was gonna
my
say
nephew.
that guy's a fucking G.
My cousin was, like, going to, like, he was seeing, like, Benny Benassi and, like, Cascada and, like, that, all that kind of stuff, like, big, you know, Euro era, like, house and that kind of, and trance kind of stuff. And so he put me onto some of that stuff when I was pretty young, but I didn't really come back to it later. Anyway, so getting up to, like, dub, in my head, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I've only thought of, like, dubstep as, like, Bass Nectar and Skrillex and that kind of stuff, right? And then, like, I met my friend Rye and a couple other people, but Rye specifically, who she was basically just like, I love this music so much, and she explained to me, like, the whole lineage of, like, UK dub music and dubstep and where it came from. And then I was like, when I first heard it, I was like, this sounds nothing like dubstep. I'm, like, so confused at what you're talking about. And then basically, like, realized, like they explained, like, and that video really does a good job. But anyways, it's like, and I brought this up to my friend, and my friend was like, now you know what most black musicians feel like with, like, all music ever.
That is interesting that it's like, yeah, like UK versus US, but even the dub music comes from a bunch of people from like
The black diaspora,
Jamaica, yeah, like all that area. I like
It's like a mixture of like
then-
Jamaican and like British culture kind of together
Mhm.
because I think they
Yeah.
pretty much like created it together.
yes,
Like
Yeah.
at least like because like I think what I've heard recently is that dubstep is literally just a mixture of two-step and dub.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
because I got some. You gotta
What a
like
time.
hearing like some old like reggae dub shit. You be like these people were like way ahead. Like the way
Bro,
they
we
do,
got to
like,
go to
bass and
some of
stuff.
these festivals this
Yeah, we
summer
do.
because some of these guys are deep. Anyway,
We need to like
we're gonna go.
see some real dub
Yeah,
to like.
I got to take you to
Invite me to,
Beatdown.
please,
Yeah. Honestly, shout
I
out
wanna see
Beatdown Sound. Chicago's like maybe not only. Also shout out Snakeblood. He's got his
I love Snake Blood.
yeah. Shout out Snakeblood. He's got his Quake system. But the
Snakeblood goes
Beatdown guys, they do you know Snakeblood?
I don't know, but that name's crazy.
Crazy, right? But Beatdown Sound, they have their own like Jamaican style rig where you know they
Sick.
get custom
Sound
with
system.
Sound system culture shit. Yeah.
This is what their
That's what
rig
we gotta
looks
learn
like.
more about.
Yeah.
Sound system culture shit is so cool.
Fire.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so we covered that good. There's
got-
no
Yeah,
no
dog.
You got any
clear
dub plates?
answer.
You got any dub plates for me?
Don't, dude. I gotta honestly. I would love to. I'd love to do like classic style though. I want to get like the full deck and like
Mhm.
just be doing it in the studio like that because it feels fun. That feels like that's a really, really, really fun way to make music. Honestly,
I'm gonna send you something I just saw. You'll probably think it's crazy. I
Hell
saw
yeah.
like someone DJing on tape. Like they were DJing with tape, and it was crazy. And it was like
Crazy.
all drum and bass on Liquid. You want to
On
play a song?
tape. Damn, that's great. Yeah. Let's play a song. Let's. I got like one other subject I kind of wanted to go over, and then let's play a song and talk
Cool.
about it.
What you thinking?
Also, was chat in here, or
What's
what
up,
do we
chat?
talk? What do we got?
We
going
solo?
on?
We don't got nothing.
We burned
now.
them out.
Yeah, we killed. We killed before.
we got a lot of
It's okay.
What is
It's
some
okay.
spaces,
We had
dog?
we did not do bad today.
Okay.
Average view is 7, so nice.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Let's play that joint. Maybe. I forgot what I put in there. Intro. Let's do that one. That one's fun. That's
Intro?
that's like a beat. That's just the beat.
Okay. Let me get this volume right. The volume is right. I'm about to fade y'all up.
We like a beat.
Hell yeah. I love this one.
Yeah, that's a beat.
Yeah, dude.
Every time you play this. So LA bassing, chord.
Thanks, dog.
I love that synth though. The stabs.
I'm trying to think of what it is.
You should go play on the stage.
Did you live in LA at all?
No, I just love all that shit, dude. I love Low End Theory. Yeah. Shout out Daddy Kev.
This shit is so crazy. Remember saying you do this live at
The trombone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just solid. That's just solid right there.
That's just the phone one. That's
Yeah.
a little 1-2.
Blood out.
Damn, dude, you have a lot of different stuff,
Yeah.
which is really exciting to see in an artist, man. Like,
It's exciting and it's tough. Yeah. people that not necessarily the best way to advertise or brand yourself, but it's just how I hear things, and so I'm trying to figure that out honestly a little bit more. But
I think we're in an age where that's good though. Like,
Yeah.
being diverse and having different styles you can tap into. Like,
Yeah.
it's good long term.
For real.
I got 2 questions actually. One thing I wanted to cover. So I saw that you did another podcast. And you were talking about the meaning of Artie Do Good.
Okay.
And how it's kind of like ambiguous, like what is good.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I was just curious kind of about the name. Sometimes name questions are like but
no, yeah.
But good, what is good? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, this is a very broad question.
No, that's good.
But,
yeah, like so we talked about this outside before the podcast, but Christopher Arthur Mish Blocksdorf, that's my full government name. And Arthur is my dad's name, was my dad's name, rest in peace. And Artie is just that. So I'm just kind of like taking his name, and then Do Good. Yeah, like I like so the first merch I ever made for this, which is kind of the only merch I ever made, but the shirts were low-key fire. They had like a little Do Good across the chest piece, and then on the front of it was like this little guy that just like, it's from this anime actually, but like he like he has like no emotions, so he has to force himself to smile with his like fingers, and I thought it looked so dummy hard. But that in itself, I felt like this idea of like mischievous, which also like my last name Mish and stuff anyways, but like being mischievous and the idea of good and what that can mean, because like obviously like talking about revolution, all those different things like that, right? Like there can be acts that like you can see as good for the cause that a lot of people be like anti, right? They'd be like, oh, that's not good, or like that's breaking the law, or that might be XYZ thing. There are a lot of things that people have done good things throughout history that at the time were deemed as bad, right? Or deemed as unlawful or whatever it might be. So I really like the idea of playing with that terminology, other than just like being like, oh, it's kind of fresh to be like, oh yeah, I do good, bro. Like I everything I do good. But that other side of it, where it's like, I guess like not like necessarily social commentary kind of thing, but like playing with that kind of idea a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I'm trying to push people to be like, oh, what is good? Like, what does that mean to you? What does that think of? And
it's kind of it's a low-key sleeper thinker.
Yeah.
Bit, like if you get into the weeds about it.
Yeah. So it's not, yeah, it is also just something simple to be like, do good. That's fun too. I like that. But then it's, yeah, like what does good mean? Then,
even just telling someone to do good, it's like, well, shit,
yeah.
Am I fucking up?
I know. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly ask you about that. The other thing is, let me double check. What was I? Oh yeah. So teaching, kind of piggybacking off the good thing, like, is that kind of an extension of it? And also, I don't know, man. Like, what's effective in teaching the kids? Because you're a music teacher, right?
Yeah.
Like, what gets them going? Is there anything current?
It's a lot of trial and error, a lot of things that are like trending. That's what they're into, right? Like they're so beholden to the algorithm, just like we all are in a lot of ways, but them even more so and more hyper focused, I would say.
Their brain is not developed.
Yes. And so like, like they be rocking TikTok dances and stuff like that. So like anytime I can, and not all of them, right? Like I oftentimes just try to ask my students what they're interested in, and even at like a young age, most kids can tell you like there's a certain cutoff for sure, like but I have found, like for instance, I always have to do concerts, right? I have to do like a Christmas concert, I have to do a spring concert
at the school,
at these schools, yeah,
with the kids,
yeah. So it's like picking songs and all that kind of stuff, and the little ones I kind of just like I choose, and like I kind of see like how they do or how they resonate with them, and if there's one that they really enjoy that I think is like accessible to them, or even like a little bit of a challenge, that I'll pick that. But then the older kids, I'm like, here's the ones that I've chosen. Give me some suggestions. Like, what do y'all want to sing? And then we kind of go through the list. And I'm like, that one, no, this one, maybe, this, like do that whole thing. And I've always gotten really good results that way, because it's like you give them agency, and just like any person, they like having agency, they like having autonomy. So it's like there's a lot of like immediate, I found a lot of positive feedback doing it that way. And then in terms of like other things, just like honestly, like again, like asking kids what they're into and then trying to like dissect and do that. The difficult thing is when they're like so diametrically like opposed to each other, like specifically when they get into the weird gender stuff, you know, like these kids that are like in 5th grade, they get so hard line about like, that's a girl thing, bro, like I don't fuck with girl shit, like, and like it's obviously not that intense, it's kind of is that intense, like they get like really hard line about it.
I feel like kids, they get intense real quick about shit. You're like, whoa,
it's
just
like
chill.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's all good, like it's like we can all like different things, it's all whatever, you know, like, and that's the part where I'm like, where I'm talking about like Himboism and all that stuff. That's where I'm like, I'm trying to like, look at me, like that's what. So we did an NSYNC song, right? We did Bye Bye Bye
Fire,
and that song, the girls didn't want to do it, only the boys wanted to do it. And I was like, when this song came out, like I thought all the boy band stuff was cool. I probably like was secretive about it, honestly, when I was a kid, because I wasn't comfortable with that. But when I was a kid, I remember those songs coming out and only girls rock with like the boy band stuff, right? That was just kind of like, at least that's my memory of it. I'm not sure about y'all, but like that was like what it was.
Just, you know, I'm kind of similar.
I heard. But yeah, that was kind of what it was. It was like, all right, this, and now it's like, seemed like because boys sing that song, boys like it, right? Like that, and that is such like a weird change that I haven't, like, that was like a weird moment where I was like, okay, like, this is a weird thing that I think is reflective of like manosphere culture and all that kind of stuff, where it's like at the time, which is messed up too, where it was like boys aren't supposed to listen to this because it's considered girly music, and if you listen to it, you're considered girly or basically like queer or gay or something like that, right? And now it's like boys should only listen to boys because that is like who they should be identifying with.
Yeah, it got manosphere captured because like they were trying to get chicks by singing these songs. You're like, that's cool.
So it's just like, I don't know, just goofy stuff like that. But ultimately, like I said, like that's cool. The older kids, it's really just be trying to like, I'd be doing production stuff with them, honestly, a lot of times, and be showing them how to make beats, and then like producing podcasts. We did like a podcast last year with my kids. We did parody songs
in the
this year.
school. That's
school.
actually kind of fucking.
So I set up microphones.
Yo, bring me in. I'll teach you.
Yeah, yo, honestly, probably could. Honestly,
it's not rocket science. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. But it was to set up all this, dude. It looks clean. I mean, like the production quality is really high, so it's like
appreciate that.
Yeah. So
we're getting there.
Anyway, so like
glaze.
Yeah. Krispy Kreme up here. So yeah, that's what the kids, like that's what kind of seems like they're in, like what gets them going is like, and then just like movement. I try to incorporate a bunch of stuff, dancing, movement, showing them different stuff, different instruments, like all those kinds of things, just exposing them to different styles and thoughts. And that's kind of ideally what I try to go to. There's times where I've been a little more selfish with my teaching, for sure, where I've just been like, I'm interested in this and I think it's important, so now you're learning it. And that can work. Like some kids really glom onto that stuff too, especially if you're passionate, you know, but then some kids are going to check out entirely. But that's like honestly that's just school in general. Like that's like
just like a give and take. Like, it's like the same thing with like performing or whatever, because in some ways you're performing to your class.
I think about it all the time. I'm like, I'm constantly performing. Like it's just, I think that's why I feel so comfortable in a teaching environment, and then also on stage. Like stage feels like home to me. Like,
dude, honestly, teaching a bunch of kids, like I feel like when I like if I'm like solo walking past a group of like 6th graders, I'm like, oh shit, please don't fuck with me.
Yeah, I think outside I would probably feel that way, but in the school, again, like I get blessed because I'm like the cool music teacher, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
I feel like if I was also your student, I'd be like, this guy's actually cool. What the hell?
So that's what it was like, kind of like looking at to like, but like kids call me, like I have a few nicknames. They call me Mr. Riz because I go by Mr. Chris. So like that's one. And then they call me, I have a group that calls me Mr. Ken, like Ken and Barbie, and that's like another nickname.
Is there a Barbie in the school?
There isn't a Barbie now, but there's Mr. Ken. They just call me Mr. Ken. So those are the two big ones, Mr. Riz, Mr. Ken.
That's leaning into your himboism.
Yeah,
sure,
100%, dog. So yeah, exactly, you got it. Yeah, so I don't know, I do, it's exhausting. Like that's why I really don't be out on the scene all that much when I'm teaching, because it's just like it takes so much energy, honestly. But like anyways, but I do love it. Like I think there's a part of me that really, like when those moments hit where it's like, damn, I'm making like an impact. Like there's like, you know, like there's some positive change that's happening because of my presence here.
What's like, have you had a moment where like specifically something happened, no names, but like someone was just like, oh dude, this is actually crazy?
I don't know if I've had like I've just had like little things here and there, dude. Like I get like thank you notes and like kids make me stuff and then just like when they make something that I can tell that even though they like like drag their feet about it or something like that, but then like the end product's really good or something like a song or the podcast. I had a few kids that went off on the podcast, like they did crazy, they did really really well, and I'm just like, and you can tell like they might have been like trying to be like, oh, like we have to do this, but then like they actually enjoyed it, right? Like that, like they'd be giving me like guff about it, but then it's like no, they loved it. And so like things like that where it's like they made a thing, they created something out because of like I gave them very limited instructions, kind of like, I mean, I showed them how to do things, but I was like, you can make what you want to make, like, so just do that, like, and just gave them a little guidance, again, agency, autonomy, like, and then they surprised me, like,
yeah,
and just that part's exciting. And then like the concerts too, the concerts are kind of sick because it's just like you work towards a thing and like the whole time you're like, are these kids gonna be able to actually do this? Like, are they it's like, and then they do it and you're just like, that was tight. And they were like excited about it, like they get stoked because it's performing, so they also
do the parents come too?
Yeah, like,
do the parents ever like tell you like you did a great job?
Yeah, no, like the first year when I was teaching at the school, like I teach at one like really wealthy like school, and the first year like the family came and they're like, man, that was like one of the best concerts they've had here in years, and he was like, we're gonna take you out to dinner, and I actually turned it down because I was like, I had to do a concert the next day, and I was like, dude, I'm like so jam packed, I gotta go. And he was like,
that's so cool.
And I was like, I felt bad because he was like, yeah, well, like, he's like, man, like, I hope you stay because like, we're gonna lose you to like Chicago or something like that. He's like, cool, because I teach out in like the suburbs, so like, anyways, yeah. That was probably one of the biggest. Other than that, like, yeah, nice emails from parents and things like that. I'll just be like, oh, really enjoyed the concert. Like, you did a nice job. The kids really enjoyed it. So, and that feels nice. Like, it's like, it feels good. Some gift cards and shit like that, too.
Oh, dude, a couple Best Buy gift cards will send me over the edge. You use those Best Buy gift cards. We don't know how long they're going to be around.
Okay. Damn.
All right, well, I don't know, man, we've been going for a hot minute, and I think we should wrap up just for the sake of not going for forever. So I asked you what your first concert was, but all-time like game changer, best concert that you went to that you were like, wow, I didn't know that was even possible, I gotta do something different.
Okay,
just something like
I have two immediate, and one I kind of talked about it earlier. I saw Wyclef Gordon, and that's like not going to mean much to anyone because he's like it's a jazz trombonist. So, but seeing that dude really honestly changed my like literally like this motherfucker he played a whole concert, and then he came out and did a encore, right? He played, and then he left, and then there was a 10-minute standing ovation of like 1,300 people. Like, people just kept it, like, would not stop screaming and shouting for it because how insane this dude is. So he came out and again did a double encore, and that's like just to show you, like, I was just like, this instrument that like low-key like kind of was like the butt of a lot of jokes and like band and stuff like that. This dude like is a fucking rock star, dude. He came out there and with this one instrument just like got this whole room electrified, dude. Like, just like, and that just showed me, I was like, don't matter what you play, it just matters what you put into it, your heart and stuff. But the other one, so talking about Fred Sturm, that's like one of my big, like, again, another papa figure, mentor through school, got me, he was kind of the one that hooked me up with like going into New York and everything, made me some connections out there, but was my professor in college. And he passed away. In the morning he passed away, I was living in New York. My mom had been like looking after him. He had cancer for like 10 years. And so she called me, let me know what happened. So I listened to a bunch of his music and kind of like cried. And I wrote this piece of music that was on my first project with a 10-piece group. And I started it that morning. And then I had tickets to Afropunk. And at the time, this is like early Afropunk. Afropunk was like, had not been around. So it was free still at this point. And it was the first time D'Angelo was coming back and performing. It was his first performance back.
Free
And
D'Angelo.
so I was like, I knew I was already going, and so I went to this concert, and I was like, sad. Like, I was like, so I go to Afropunk, and I kind of just by myself. I went with some friends, but like I kind of just like eventually wander off by myself, and I saw Danny Brown too, which was sick. But
fire.
I went and I saw actually opening, well, not open, I mean, it was all on the same stage. But Michelle Nicocello was performing, and I'd never seen her or really heard her any of her music before. And it's not funny to be like, I went to the D'Angelo concert and the opener, like Michelle, like it was like one of the most powerful performances. I think it was like where I was emotionally and all those things. And then like she did a lot of like spiritual, like jazzy kind of stuff and like groove stuff and very sweet, and like it just like it rocked me in my soul, dude. Like, and then D'Angelo after that was really sick. And like, to be honest though, like it was his first show back, so like he delayed the show a lot, and then it was still sick when he came out, but he like clearly was like not okay with being on stage yet. He hadn't gotten like comfortable doing that again. So it was really cool to like see him in that space, see this like dude that like I worshipped, you know, like be in that space of being like, oh, you can tell he's like hiding behind like the organ, behind like everyone. You can barely like kind of see him, but it was still killing. Like it was right after like Black Messiah, that whole record and stuff came out, and so he had the Roots backing him, which was also nasty.
It's a free
and
show.
So he was free, yeah, dude. And SZA was there. This was 2016, 2015, 2016. Something like that. But yeah, Afropunk was, I think the year after that they started charging, but that was like the last year when it was free, and then it started popping up where they kind of did like the festival thing all over the place. But that concert, dude, like just the emotions of that day ending with that performance. And then I went home and I finished that piece of music, and then like to go on, it's like I wound up winning like an award for that particular piece of music that I wrote that day. And you can kind of hear a lot of those elements of those emotions and then that music that I was listening to that day in that piece of music. So
where can we find it?
Bandcamp, I guess. I think it's on Bandcamp. It's not on Spotify. It's only on Bandcamp. It's called Shared Office with Superman. So Fred used to have, like, I used to share it. He gave me his key to his office at a certain point because he was only there for some time. So like my senior year, he was like, you can just use my office whenever I'm not in it. And he was obsessed with like film score stuff, and like specifically the original score for Superman. And he had Superman's cape in the window of his office. So that was why I called the piece Shared Office with Superman. But yeah. So I think it's off, that album right there.
Should we give it a little,
if you want to bump
go out on
bit.
it?
It's kind of long, but you can ride some of it, yeah.
We'll ride a little bit of it, yeah.
Goes a lot of different places.
Anything else you want to talk about? I don't want to cut you.
No, it's all good. I was like, it would start crazy if you start like halfway through, but the ending's really kind of that's the joint. That's the best part, but I don't have the timestamp. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe skip halfway and then
maybe
we'll do a little sign.
How long is it?
7 minutes and 53 seconds.
Okay, let's do 6 minutes, or maybe even like 6:30.
Bandcamp, not bringing.
It's gonna go into a crazy. If you jump right into 6:30, it's gonna be like heavy from that. But
6 minutes. Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's find out what happens. It's gonna be crazy, y'all. Here's the big jump. Oh no, this is actually perfect. Okay. It's right after the big section. So repeat of the original theme.
Gorgeous art.
Oh, thanks, dude. That's the homie Yasmin.
You gotta help me
She's
out.
incredible, dude. Honestly, she's low key. Anyways, yeah, she's one of my favorite artists. She's out in Omaha. She's phenomenal. She be doing
this type of art.
Big stuff, dude. Now, like crazy. She be doing like stuff for. She did like some stuff for Kim Gordon. She did a lot of stuff for Dead. Anyways, shout out Yasmin.
Your Spotify, your Bandcamp is kind of crazy.
Someone sampled this. Goddamn, this is sick. Damn.
Thank you for watching the Poducer podcast.
Wow, that was actually like incredible. Like it felt like that moment in the movie when like the main character kind of just like figures it out.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely like the whole. If you listen to the whole thing, it's definitely like it was low-key my like journey through grief. That's kind of like what the.
Yeah, because it has like a sad undertone.
Yeah, I was sad, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I guess if my music daddy died.
Dude, I mean, it's fucking, yeah, it's tough. But honestly, how cathartic to like make.
Yeah, no, for real.
That.
And it like it came. That's what I mean. It was like one of those things that like I feel like it rarely happens. I'm sure each one of us probably have had that moment where it's like all of a sudden you like, and it's just like it all just came out. Like it was just like very quick. Like literally within like a day or two, I wrote that whole thing, which usually is not the case. Like, but that one I just felt a lot of feelings, and that immediately became a thing. So yeah, that's cool. But
dude, well, thanks for sharing it with us, man, and thanks for coming through, man. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hopefully it resonated on some level with some folks, but
I think it did, man. I'm excited to listen to some more of this, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Some of the stuff you sent me.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean, I wanted to quickly just, I know we shouted out a lot of people, but is there anyone you want to just shout out real quick, besides family?
Oh man, the beat scene, obviously. I mean, when we be talking a lot of stuff, but it's like there's such a powerful energy and thing happening. I think it is really special. Like, like it feels very like it's in a moment, and I have felt that way for a while. Shout out to a lot of my musical collaborators and all that stuff. I guess my mom, you said family, my girl, like Jaina.
I say family just because people are like really like they always shout out their typically they shout out their family unless they got like bad blood with them.
Yeah, and then just like all like I've been mentioning, like shout out the people that step in, like take care of people. Like I've shouted out my musical mentors, and I've had a lot of, like I said, my dad died really young, but I had a lot of people that looked out for me, my goddad, and different people that stepped in along the way that help guide. And I feel like that's so important for folks, so if you have that opportunity in your life to do that for someone, do it. So thank you to all the people that are willing to make that effort to change someone else's life, even when it's maybe a little challenging at times.
Yeah, that's cool as fuck, honestly. I feel like sometimes I'm selfish, but God damn, I gotta do that. All right, guys, we'll go check out Artie Do Good. We'll put links. I know this is live, but we'll put links later. We should put the links before we get started, honestly. But anyway, we'll figure that out. We're just growing. But yeah. Carrie, you got any closing thoughts?
No closing thoughts.
Okay, no closing thoughts.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, we appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.